Right now, in a delivery room somewhere, a mother is staring at a blank line on a form, trying to decide what word she will attach to her child forever. She does not know that this single word will walk beside her son or daughter into every room they ever enter, into every friendship, into every prayer, and into a spiritual inheritance she cannot yet see. Most of us pick a name because we like the sound of it, because it honors someone we loved, or because it was everywhere that year. Almost nobody stops to ask the harder question. What is this name declaring over the life I am about to raise? Today we are going to look at something believers rarely stop to examine closely. 6 kinds of names Scripture warns us away from, and why the words we speak over a child, before they can even speak for themselves, carry more weight than we realize. Names are never an afterthought in the Bible. God renamed Abram as Abraham. He renamed Jacob as Israel. He told Zechariah what to call his son before that son ever drew breath. Proverbs 22:1 puts it plainly. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. If the Lord treats names with that much weight, we should too. Let us walk through each one. 1. Steer clear of any name rooted in the identity of a false god. This danger hides in plain sight, because it rarely announces itself. Who checks the etymology of a name before they fall in love with the sound of it? In our own church family, a couple picked a name purely because it sounded graceful and rare. Neither of them knew until an older saint quietly mentioned it after service, that the name was simply a modern spelling of a goddess honored in ancient pagan worship. They were stunned. They'd chosen it for beauty, never once suspecting what it actually meant. Watching that unfold left me uneasy, because something similar could catch any of us off guard in a generation that no longer teaches where its words come from. Exodus 23:13 instructs us, "Pay attention to all that I have said to you, and make no mention of the names of other gods, nor let it be heard on your lips." To speak a name is to invite it into your home. It is to give it breath every time you call your child in from the yard. This is not a call to panic over anything unfamiliar. It is a call to look before you leap, and to ask God to show you what a name truly carries before you commit it to a birth certificate. 2. Don't let a name carry a wound instead of a blessing. Whatever words rise out of your darkest season shouldn't become the label your child wears into adulthood. I knew a woman who named her daughter during the bleakest stretch of her own life, a season thick with grief and exhaustion. She had no idea, until years later, that the name meant sorrow in the language of her grandmother. She told me through tears that it felt like she'd signed her own unhealed pain onto her child's future. This ache is ancient. The Book of Chronicles tells us Jabez's own mother named him Jabez, saying she had borne him in pain. He carried that meaning through his entire childhood. But Scripture does not leave him stuck there. Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, asking for blessing, for enlarged territory, for protection from harm, and the Lord gave him exactly that. If you find yourself naming a child in the middle of your own hard season, refuse to let today's grief author tomorrow's identity. Ask God instead for a name that carries His promise, not the weight of a season you have not yet healed from. 3. Don't let a name exist to build a parent's legacy rather than God's purpose. Some parents do not name a child to bless them. They name a child to be remembered by them. I once sat across from a father who was determined to pass down a very particular family name to his son. And it was not love driving the decision. It was ambition. He talked about that son carrying the family forward the way a soldier carries a flag, as though the boy existed to finish something his father had started, not something God had planned. What I saw in his eyes was not tenderness. It was pride dressed up as heritage. The book of Genesis records the builders at Babel saying they wanted to make a name for themselves. One sentence, and it exposes the whole motive behind the tower, glory reaching for itself and calling it ambition. When a name is chosen to lift up a parent's reputation instead of a child's calling, that child becomes a monument to someone else's pride before they have taken a single breath on their own. Pray instead that the name you give points your child toward heaven, not toward you. If any of this has already shifted how you see the name you gave, or the one you are still weighing, pause right here, brother, sister, and leave a comment below with this short prayer. Lord, may my child's name carry your purpose over their life. Stay close, because what comes next is what most parents overlook entirely. 4. Resist choosing a name just because it's trending, with nothing underneath it. A name with no substance leaves a child without an anchor. and in a generation already hungry for identity, that kind of emptiness speaks louder than we think. A mother once admitted to me, almost apologizing, that she'd chosen her son's name off a popularity list, giving no thought to meaning or prayer, only to how it sounded beside their surname. Years later, her son turned to her and asked one question she couldn't answer. "Mom, why did you pick this name for me?" She had nothing to give him back. What do you say to a child who asks what their own name means, and you simply don't know? The prophet Isaiah records God saying he has called his people by name because they belong to him. In the Gospels, Jesus tells his followers that even the hairs on their heads are numbered, that they matter to their Father down to the smallest detail, and a name is no small detail. God does not name his own by trend. He names by purpose, and every name he speaks is a declaration over a life, before that life has spoken a single word for itself. You don't need something rare or ancient. You simply need to know what the name means, where it came from, and what it will echo over your son or daughter for the 80 years ahead of them. 5. Never choose a name to belittle or make light of God. This is one of the most careless things a parent can do, often without ever recognizing the weight of it. I once heard about a couple who, half as a joke, picked a name that poked fun at a well-known figure from Scripture, thinking it clever enough to earn a laugh at a dinner party. What started as humor followed that child, through classrooms, introductions, and relationships for years afterward, turning into a punchline stitched permanently into their identity. The book of Exodus is unmistakable on this point. God's people are told never to misuse his name carelessly. That command reaches further than swearing an oath. It speaks to the reverence owed to anything connected with God. A name born out of mockery, even gentle mockery, plants irreverence into a home meant to raise children in wonder and respect toward the Lord. Your child's name should never become the punchline of your joke. It should become the blessing you speak into their future. 6. Don't ever choose a name apart from prayer. Out of everything on this list, this is the step parents overlook most, and it may matter more than all the rest combined. Remember the account in Luke, where an angel appeared to Zechariah and told him his prayer had been answered, that his wife would bear a son, and that the boy's name would be John. That name did not come from a baby shower or a page in a book. It arrived from heaven as the direct answer to years of prayer before the child was ever conceived. I have sat with parents who spent far more hours arguing over spelling and popularity than they ever spent quietly asking God for direction. We research meanings, we compare trends, we survey friends and family, but how rarely do we actually pause, go quiet, and ask the God who already sees who this little one is destined to become? No angel needs to appear in your bedroom for this principle to reach you. All that is required is a pause before the decision is locked in, and a simple question lifted upward. Is this the name you have chosen for my child? One honest prayer can redirect a decision that was about to be made in a hurry. Before we close, something important needs to be said. None of this is meant to send you into panic over a name already written down. God is not bound by decisions we made in ignorance. If your son or daughter already carries a name that falls somewhere on this list, take heart. The same God who renamed Jacob, who renamed Abram, is fully capable of redeeming the meaning behind whatever name your child carries. Your ongoing prayers over their life hold more authority than any word etched onto paper at the hospital. But if this decision still lies ahead of you, if nothing has been finalized yet, let this moment carry the weight it deserves. Proverbs reminds us once more that a good name outweighs riches and silver and gold. Your child will carry this word into every classroom they sit in, every friendship they build, every memory their own children will someday hold, into chapters of life you will not always be present to witness firsthand. Choose a name that speaks life rather than fear over your child. Choose a name that honors heaven rather than mocking it, that carries purpose rather than passing trend, that blesses your son or daughter's calling instead of building a monument to yourself. Because the very first gift any parent ever hands their child is not a blanket, a nursery, or a toy. It is a sound that child will hear repeated daily for the rest of their life, the sound of their own name spoken over them. If something in this message landed on your heart today, take one simple step. Drop a comment below with this same short prayer. Lord, may my child's name carry your purpose over their life. It reads short, but it carries real spiritual weight behind it. And if someone you love is currently wrestling with this very decision, pass this message along to them right now. It might become the difference between a rushed choice and a prayerful one. Subscribe so we can keep walking through biblical truth together, one week at a time. The Lord's peace be with you, family, until we gather again.